So hello everyone, welcome to only our second or third YouTube video of the new year. I hope you're all well. Extremely busy here, lots of travel, lots of good food, as you can tell, and we just lots of training going on at the moment for us here at TDW, and I may share some of that kind of training with you over the next sort of 10-15 minutes or so. Anyway, what I want to talk about is why I posted this image on LinkedIn. And I'm going to explain it towards the end of the video and kind of what's going on here, but I want to give you some kind of context as to why I posted this. Now, when I posted that cartoon, it had over 3,000 views on LinkedIn. It generated a whole raft of comments, both on LinkedIn, but also into my inbox, and people contacting me and people asking if they were allowed to use that cartoon as part of a presentation that they wanted to do internally for their projects. Now, I'm happy for people to. I get asked all of the time if some of my slides that I put together can be used in corporate presentations. I'm always happy for that to happen, as long as the credit remains that of TDW. So as long as you're not borrowing it and representing it as yours. Anyway, why did I put this cartoon on LinkedIn? And to kind of contextualize it, I've put some slides together so we can kind of have something a little bit more exciting to look at rather than my ugly face. So one of the things I've been doing over the last several months now is really analysing the S-series. And what I've been doing is really kind of digging into the weeds of how all of these S-series specifications talk, how they are supposed to sing together in a harmonic choir kind of way, as well as kind of some of the challenges. So to do that, I think you really need to get into the weeds of all of these specifications, and that in turn generates a lot of other discussion, a lot of other debate, and maybe a subject of another video at some point. But anyway, I've been spending a lot of time really analysing what these specs are meant to do, how the data flows from one of the specs to another, how they are supposed to communicate, what data looks like in one environment and what it looks like in another environment. And certainly with things like S3000L, I've then been kind of referring back to JVJ's book and kind of what that was saying, and kind of the ILS handbook that he wrote, which I still use almost daily, and reference into that. So I've been spending a lot of time really analysing the specifications, but that's not why I posted that particular cartoon on LinkedIn. What I do is I was also kind of analysing over my training and my travels and those kind of things, asking my customers, asking myself, what kind of S1000D projects I'm supporting, but what kind of S1000D projects think they are. And I get a whole raft of answers. When I'm consulting training, I say, why is it we're doing S1000D? Okay, and then I get a whole bunch of answers. And then I'll say, why are you doing S1000D? Okay, and I get a whole raft of answers, from my boss told me to be here to, we think S1000D is a good methodology for implementing process for a modern technical document, modern technical publications, and everything else in between. So, but when I ask clients what kind of project they want to be or what they think they are, you can see that on here, and I think the graphic is kind of, self-explanatory. I get everything to the kind of analytical projects, all the way to the head in the sand kind of projects, all the way to the we're on fire, let's leave the room and get out of here really quickly. Lots of people have lots of different opinions on S1000D, and also have different opinions on technical documentation. And along with that is the level of understanding, because when I ask these questions, it's quite deliberate. I'm trying to understand the level of desire, the level of want in terms of what they want to achieve from S1000D, what they think they can achieve from S1000D. And just two simple questions can set the tone for the whole training session, because, am I dealing with people who are just wanting to tick a box, or am I dealing with people who really want to do a really good job in an S1000D sense? So a lot of the projects will certainly fall into one or a few of these categories. And, I've got everything from we just want a PDF all the way to, we want a fully integrated IETP that can talk to the product, that can talk to maintenance systems, etc., etc. So now, what is it I think all S1000D projects should be doing is, first and foremost, we need to understand all of our project stakeholders and, who's involved. And that, believe it or not, is quite far and wide. And, everything from legal and compliance, from contracts and sales, all the way up to the customer, the end user, etc. We need to consider everybody that's involved in a project. And here I'm just talking about those that are involved, not necessarily what we want to achieve from an S1000D project. That's a subject for another day. So I then started putting together some courses for a specific client, which we've now kind of productized. And that is, looking at role-based S1000D training, depending on the stakeholder, depending on, their level of interaction with the S1000D project. And there's a very specific reason why this is critical for the success of an S1000D, in my view, for the success of an S1000D project. So if everybody can have a base understanding of what S1000D is and why S1000D works in a specific way, and we can talk in isolation, we can talk as integrated in the S series, or any other standards or specifications that you might be using around the periphery. But what it is that fundamentally and principally we're trying to achieve with S1000D, and what opportunity that gives us, and not only that, where the trade-offs are, where the investment is, and kind of, the impact and the influence on a particular stakeholder's role or function. So this particular course that came around was that we were looking at commercial and legal and sales, and why they can't just simply say yes to an S1000D requirement or an S1000D contract stipulation. Why they need to have a little bit of pushback, but also have a little bit of knowledge so that they can help their internal organization if and when they're actually signing up to this. Because otherwise, if we don't have an appreciation for what the S1000D project actually involves and the level of effort and energy, we might as well all just be shoving our head in the sand and just hoping that tech pubs will be able to pick up the slack and actually deliver this. And that is where this cartoon came from, where I was actually flying back from Italy. I've just been doing some training in Italy, and so some of the nicest people I've trained, by the way. And it was a fantastic to see how they could see the value in not only the S-series data that they were creating, but highly functional technical publications. But I was on the plane, and I was came from some training that I did back in January, where I was talking to a client, and they were saying, one of their problems was that, sales guys didn't quite necessarily understand the questions that they should be asking, or certainly the implications of just saying yes to an S1000D project, which led me to coming up with a kind of churlish, if you like, a churlish cartoon, which I posted on LinkedIn. And to say that this probably on, and I'm quite vocal on LinkedIn, I like to poke the bear a little bit, and I put this on knowing that it would generate some discussion and some comment, but not actually the level of comment and discussion that it actually did. I think, like I said, over 3,000 views on my LinkedIn on this, as well as several comments and congratulations, if you like, coming into me via LinkedIn. So what's going on in this particular cartoon is, and if we just work left to right, so we have some stakeholders, and the stakeholders in this particular case are the advisor, the customer, the sales team, the technical publications team, and the boss. And the boss could be completely disconnected from technical publications, doesn't have an idea what's going on. And the kingpin here is the customer. And the customer has an advisor, and that advisor, somebody did say something on LinkedIn about these clandestine advisors, which did make me smile. The advisor is just basically whispering into the ear of the customer, you must ask for S1000D, ask for S1000D. So the customer, without any kind of analytical thought process, has just gone to the supplier, in this case, the sales or the contract negotiations team. We must have S1000D. And in their mind, it's nothing more than a technical publication. The customer is thinking PDF, and the sales guy is just thinking it's a basic technical publication. How hard can it be? This is then written into the contract. And then what goes to the technical publications team is, oh, by the way, we now have an S1000D requirement, which you can see from the thought bubble what technical publications now has to start doing. And this is just a subset of a lot of things that technical publications needs to do. And when we actually go back to the business or to the boss and we say, this is how much an S1000D, or this is how much your technical publications is going to cost you or us, and the boss has no appreciation of why, because in their head they are, as the customer, thinking PDF. They're thinking traditional technical publications. Now, when I do my 101 course, we look at where the level of energy is that needs to get S1000D going, and also where we have to invest time, money, skills, and specific software tools, or those kind of things. So whilst that was a churlish look at a typical S1000D conversation, if you like, the reality is this is more common than I would expect, or that I would hope, because the lack of understanding of what S1000D is trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it actually leads to, should we say, heated discussions often on projects. So those of you who've done my training courses, I've got some great stories about this clandestine advisor that's whispering in the ear of the customer. And I won't put that on YouTube. So the reality is that I personally believe that all stakeholders on an S1000D project should have a degree of S1000D training, and and it should be role-based S1000D training. So what the program manager needs to know is different to the project manager. What the project manager needs to know is different to what the illustrators need to know, what the technical publications guys need to know. The ILS guys need to understand, or IPS guys need to understand, what technical publications need from their environment, and how that what they do over in, for example, the 3000L environment, how that impacts how and what schemas we use over in the S1000D environment, and what the technical publications guys do with that. The definitions that we might use in other IPS specification or data domains, how that then is transformed or used within the S1000D environment. So that is what I've been doing. I've been analyzing all of these specs. I've been looking at what my customers are doing, and I've been looking at kind of market messaging and trends. And, and this is where an element of frustration comes around the S1000D projects, the S1000D implementations, if you like. Those are my thoughts. That's what I came up with. I'm glad that those of you who were on LinkedIn or LinkedIn for my Italian friends, I'm glad that that resonated with a huge portion of the people that are following me or connected with me on LinkedIn. But I had far more views than people I'm connected with, which is quite interesting as well. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can put a comment down below, or just, I don't know, get me on the jungle drums. But those are my thoughts. I'll do my best to come up with another video. I've got loads of videos planned. It's just finding the time to do them and get them out. Those are my thoughts. What are yours?